Welcome back to the class. I actually know that the break is going to separate men from boys. And I also understand that there are some persons who are weak because of the activity of the day. For men, at the same time, when you are hungry for success, when you are hungry for something, there is nothing like weakness. Please take note of that. It's not a means, it's not a motivational quote. When you are hungry for something, you are desperately hungry for something, there is nothing like weakness. You are willing to go all out to get it done, push yourself beyond limit. If you will break, break. You will crack, crack. But when you are done breaking, when you are done cracking, you mend yourself and still get what you want. Let me say this before I continue. If you are expecting things to get better, especially if you're in Nigeria, you're joking. Yeah, I know in your church, in your mosque, there is um this teaching also that things are going to get better. But I say this with every form of sincerity. What needs to get better is you, not the system. You need to get better. It's you. Focus on yourself. Develop yourself. So even if you are in a bad system, because of how the value you've already taken in and the kind of asset you are, you will still be thriving in a bad system. So if the system gets better, if it becomes okay, if it gets better, you are still at advantage. If it's not getting better, you are still at an advantage because of what? Of the value and the assets that you are. So let's get into our discussion for today. Um, cyber Q chain, right? Cyber Q chain. Now, what do I mean by, or what do we mean by cyber Q chain? Okay. Um, um, I believe everyone can hear me loud and clear, right? So the cyber Q chain, they have also their faces as well. The way we'll have the faces, the five faces of attack. In the cyber Q chain, they also have it also have its face as well. Or although I call a cyber Q chain a face, okay, on its own, is a model that tells you what an attacker will do in an effort to breach your network. So, in an effort for the attacker to gain an unauthorized access, what is the attacker going to do? That's what the cyber key chain tells you. It's almost the same as that of the five phases of attack, but there are some differences as well. Okay, so here we say that the cyber key chain framework is part of the intelligent driven defense model for identification and prevention of cyber intrusions activities. All right. Now, the model identifies what the adversaries must complete in order to achieve their objectives, which is very, or objective rather, which is so important. So let's look at the cyber chicken. It's of 7 chain. The first chain is recognizance. We've talked about that. It's all about gathering of information. So here the attacker is able to gather informations, confidential and valid informations like email addresses and other informations. It's all about gathering information on the target. So that is the first chain. So the second chain is weaponization. Second chain is weaponization. So once they've gathered the information, they will now create what we call a payload, all right, or an exploit. A payload or an exploit is something that they can use to gain access. So one of the tools, one of the method by which an attacker can use or tool he can use to gain access is what we call a payload or an exploit. We are going to come and get to that. Okay. So after gathering information, they have to create something. So that is why they have to send links. That is an example of a payload or an exploit. Those links that are sent that once you click on those links, we click on those links, it gives them a level of access. So that is what weaponization chain is all about. Okay. So the third chain is delivery. Is delivery. So that is why the recognizance stage is important. At this stage, they harness um they harness emails or thereabout. So when they harness emails, next thing is that they weaponize, they create a payload, send link. So once you click on the link, once they are done with that, they have to deliver, sorry. So they will start going to platforms like LinkedIn, looking for phone numbers, checking people who are on WhatsApp, checking on the attack on the target. Okay, what are they looking for? They are looking for where to deliver the payload. First, they create the reconnaissance. They gather the information. When they are done gathering the information, what they now do is that they weaponize. Weaponize is that they create something like a payload. They create something like what we call an exploit. So when they are done creating the payload and an exploit, they have to deliver it to somewhere. They don't create the payload because they spend money in creating that payload. All right. They don't create the payload in order to keep it or let it be dormant. They start looking for where to deliver. They start gathering emails, looking for emails to target, to shoot the payloads to start looking for phone numbers, start looking for those that are on WhatsApp. They go to LinkedIn, gather informations. That is why you see there are some people who what they do online is that they come up like that they have businesses they want to do on and they start chatting with you. And the next thing is that can we move the discussion to WhatsApp? Once they get to WhatsApp and they start talking with you on WhatsApp, you need to be very careful. Why do I say so? For you not to click links that they send to you. Now, my business also, one or two of the major guys that I've gotten, and when I got them, I was able to execute a business, good business with good money. I got them from online, but there was something I was very careful at doing. I never clicked any link. So whenever we are conversing, whenever we are talking, he ends up to clicking on link to do this, thereabout. For example, if there's going to be a Zoom meeting, I set up the Zoom meeting. These are the things you need to pay attention to. I set up the Zoom meeting. All right. So, and secondly, you need to be there because there are people, okay, instead of having the meeting on Zoom, they are coming up with other platforms where they can have the meetings. Yes, there are platforms that you can have the meetings, but there are platforms that are porous for the and they are very porous, so they can integrate certain malwares in their link. So once you click on the link, instead of the link taking you to the platform for the meeting, it now migrates you to another place. Or once you click on it, they just get all the information you need to get. So is this making sense? Is this making sense to anybody? Is this making sense to anybody? I want to show. So they need to get how they will send the payload. So the attacker have to deliver the payload. They will deliver it to somebody. Next is the exploitation. Once they have delivered, the next thing is to exploit. And it depends on what the payload is meant to do. So once the victim clicks on it, they start exploiting the system. So once you click on it, they've exploited your system, they can now get to know the vulnerabilities of the system. So the next after the exploitation is the installation. The installation is is an example of gaining access. All right. So it's more like installing a backdoor for them to always gain access. Okay. Because they install something extra that the weaponization payload is not able to do. Okay. So because now they've gained access, they have to install it because it's not everything that the weaponization payload does. The weaponization payload only creates the avenue for you to be exploited. It creates the opening. So once they gain access through delivery and they exploit, they need to install certain things in your system which you are not aware so that it will keep giving them access. So they don't need to be sending you link through what they've installed in your system. They can always monitor your system. They can always come into your system. They can always go out and come in, even when you are not aware. So they can be monitoring your system. All right. Are you still with me? Are you still with me here? Drop 555 on the chat box. So through the installation, they create the back door and they always gain access. For example, an attacker can shoot a payload, weaponize, gain access, and when he has gained access and exploited the system, he will now install a keylogger in that system. All right. What is a keylogger? What does a keylogger do? A keylogger, the function of a keylogger is whatever you are typing on your system or your device, they'll be getting it. For example, you are typing a mail. As you are writing and typing a mail, the mail is being replicated on their own system. You impute your PIN is being imputed in their system. Maybe you use cards to buy something, and you're typing the card is typing on the system. And everything you type on your system, also the system duplicates it in their own system. All right. So you see that how that works. All right. So that is where they can also they can it's also a spyware. It monitors all the activities that are done on that system. Everything on the system, everything that is done on the system is being recorded and then sent to their own page. Now, this depends on what they want to achieve. It depends on what they achieve, and that determines the software they will install. All right. The intention or their purpose determines the software that they are going to install. And you see that weaponization is not just that end process. The weaponization is just a means of even exploiting the system. But after the system is exploited, another activity must begin. That is where the solution comes in. Uh, I'm seeing somebody sending something on the group chat. Mildred says, "Now, wow, Yahoo boys, the goalkeepers in." Okay, and anybody, someone is raising his hand. Please drop your message on the chat box, please. The PMP, just drop it as message on the chat box, whatever it is, whether question. I'm going to attend to that. But guys, are we getting this thing? Is it becoming clearer? Is it becoming clearer? I know some of you have read the note, but reading the note does not. You can be reading a note and not even understand what you are reading. That's the truth. That's the truth. I just want people who are honest. You've read the note, but as we are explaining right now, the note is making sense. Some of the things you read, you just crammed it. Okay, I know this thing, but as you are breaking it down now, you are beginning to understand. Just drop yes on the chat box. Just drop yes on the chat box. I need that feedback. You know, just drop yes for it. There are people who felt that because they have read the note, they know everything, they know it. But right now, you see, just drop yes on the chat box. Okay. And I believe this should be the third time we're taking this class. The fourth class, I didn't know. I doubt if I went into details like this. I didn't. I doubt. I doubt. So how do you know if all this is happening in your system and how will you detect? Nice question, but I'm not going to attend to it right now because I don't want to deviate from the course. Keep the question when we start looking at their processes, when we start looking at it, you will start identifying how and when those things are in your system. Because if I start going into that now, we are going to deviate from our topic. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's proceed. Okay. So the the sys chain is command and control. We call it C2. When you see C2, command and control. So at this stage, the attacker is now controlling, is now manipulating, is now the one running your system. So it all depends on his intention. Now, let me also explain something here. Okay, let me finally, we have action on objectives. Action on objectives. This is where the goal why the attacker gain access is accomplished. Now, let me use a simple way. Someone will say, these things, does it make sense? I'm going to break certain things down. And as I'm saying it, some of you, your eyes will start opening. I don't know if you've seen a mail before, you've gone to the spam of your email and you see this well-crafted, good-looking, convincing mail. And is convincing in a way that sometimes the content, the organization, the email, you can verify them online. They have a website. It came from a domain name, everything professional, but they are scammers. If you've gotten such email before, just drop CEH on the chat box. Now, let me teach us something here because why this is very important is this. Most of the people who are being scammed heavily, most of them are not blacks. But that doesn't mean that blacks are exempted. So far you are ignorant of the system, you can be scammed. Now, outside of the country, if you've ever lived outside of the country, for those of us who are not in Nigeria, or for those of us who work with white people, or you've done business with the white people, they don't do business. They don't believe so much on talk. They don't believe so much on voice discussion, true or false. After the voice discussion, they always believe on a written format or written concept or way of doing business. That is why they like using mails a lot. When you are done discussing something, the white person will say, okay, can you just put it as a mail and send it through my mail? They believe in documentation a lot. Now, look at it this way. Someone comes online and poses to be a company from China that sells goods. And through the reconnaissance, they've targeted companies in China that into the same goods. And because sometimes most of these people, there is barrier in language. That barrier in language is an opening. They've identified, okay, the vulnerability that I want to leverage here is the barrier in language. So what they do is that they open up discussion. They start they start targeting emails. They gather emails of companies that are into tire, companies that are into manufacturing of the particular said product that they want to sell. So when they are done gathering the emails, they gather emails. Sometimes they gather hundreds, they gather 200, they gather 400. They now shoot what they call a payload, or what we call the exploit. They now shoot the payload, they create a payload in form of a mail or a link, and they will now start shooting the payload through mails. Some of the emails that are sent are payload. They are not just email. They are emails that contain malware or spyware. So the moment you click on the email, what will happen is they gather the email first, they create the payload, they now to deliver. They deliver it through the emails they've gathered. All right. That is where reconnaissance come into play, because the essence of gathering of the information is to use it for delivery or at delivery stage. So when they shoot it and maybe out of the 100, 5 or 10 of them clicks on it, they've exploited that system and they now have access to the system. Some of them now install a keylogger, the keylogger or a spyware. So if I'm typing from If I'm typing my email, some even hijack your email. When we start going into details, you start seeing the practicality of this thing, because we are going to create all those things and you are going to be practicing, you're going to see it. All right. So some have now a pseudo or a false email. So what they do is that once they get to that level, if I send a mail. Remember, I am communicating with a company in China, or the company in China is communicating with me, and they were able to get this access through the payload they've sent to they delivered to that company, and they click on it. They now have a duplicate or a shadow of their email. So when that company starts writing, the moment they are writing email, they are writing email. As they are writing immediately, they have a spyware that is gathering all the information. So when they send the email does not deliver in my box. It delivers in their own, because they've created a a a a false email or a shadow. Let me call it shadow email per se. So once they shoot it, they receive the email first. They will now modify it to what they want and send to the other person. So the other person replies them. You are replying the same mail, the same company mail that you are seeing is to see the same content, the same Gmail. Nothing is different, but it's cloned already. It's cloned. So you reply, they receive it back and correct it in a way that they want, so that the target will get it from the perspective of what they want, and they reply. So in between, the target might think that he's speaking to the company that he's buying goods from, not knowing that the emails are being cloned already. So you see why an attacker needs time, because a business deal is not just closed instantly at one with one email. It might take 4, 5, 10 emails, or 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Are you seeing why Yahoo boys go broke? All of a sudden, in 3 months, 4 months, you see them with money. They are patiently waiting for the manifestation of the or they are patiently waiting for the food that they are cooking to be done. And those guys, they wore patient as a rope. So now you see why gaining access is not enough. You see why, sorry, you see why maintaining access is important. All right. So they access the system, they now gain access, but they also maintain the access. They don't want to go back again through the process of putting an email and you send the clicking, creating a payload. And no, they want to stay. And so what they do is, depending on what they want to achieve, they create and they install an application depending on their intention. If their intention is to clone the system, they will install an application that aids them to clone the system and remain in the system. If their intention is to getting information or to grab, maybe those ones that are going for people that do debit card, or they gather their debit card, what they do is, or gather their login details, what they do is that they shoot the email or they shoot the payloader. You click on the payloader. The moment you click on the payloader, they gain access to your system. And you know, the white people, they do virtually everything either on their system or on their phone. So the moment they gain access, their own intention is to trap your information. So what they are going to install is something like a keylogger, so that as you are typing your card details, they are getting the card details. As you are typing your password, they are getting your password. Everything you type, they gather it, they get your phone number. And through your phone number, they can clone your number, so that when they shoot or when they want to buy something, it will redirect the OTP, the one-time password. It will not come to you. You will not receive it. It will redirect that password to the clone phone. So they will encrypt it, and then by so doing, they've wiped the person's account. Hello? Does that sound interesting? You know, I'm speaking not from, if you listen to me very well, you will notice I'm not talking from what I read from a book. I'm talking from what I've seen. This is my job. All right. Cybersecurity professional. So these are the things we see every day. So I'm speaking from experience. You see the difference between just going to YouTube and just getting material based on because the person is knowledgeable. If there's experience in this, I can right now give you up to 40 different ways attack is being happened. Attack takes place. Can you kindly repeat this, sir? No, I'm not going to repeat it. It's being recorded and we are posting it on YouTube. So you go to the YouTube and watch it, comment online. Okay. So if this is making sense and you are enjoying the class, just drop 888 on the chat box. Just drop 888 on the chat box. Just drop 888 on the chat box. Go ahead, drop 888 on the chat box. So let's proceed. So these are the 7 phases of the or what we call of the cyber kill chain. So an attacker takes these 7 phases in order to breach the chain or what we call the 7 cyber kill chain. An attacker takes on it to breach your network. I've explained what reconnaissance is, all about gathering information, organization, creating a payload, sending it, exploitation, furthermore, getting information about the client, right? So I'll talk about delivery, talk about exploitation, okay? I've talk about exploitation. I've talked about all of them. Let me just read through it so it makes better sense. On reconnaissance, the attacker collects data about the target and the tactics for the attack. Okay, this include harvesting email addresses, gathering gathering other information. All right. So automated scanners are used by intruders to find points of vulnerability in the system. This includes scanning through the firewall, intrusion prevention system, etc., to get a point of entry for the attack. Number two, second point, which we've gone through, as explained, that the weaponization, the attackers develop malware. I said it, they develop malware by leveraging security vulnerabilities. Attackers they engineer malware based on their needs and the intention of the attack. And this process also involves attackers trying to reduce the chances of getting detected by the security solution that the organization has in place. All right. Now we'll have the cyber kill chain, we'll have the delivery. The attacker delivers the weaponized malware via a phishing, phishing email. Some call it phishing email, or some other medium, right? The most common delivery vectors for weaponized payloads include websites, all right, removable disk emails. These are most common ways by which they do it. Okay, this is the most important stage where the attack can be stopped by the security. You see here at this stage, this is where the security team comes into play. Sometimes these attacks land, but the security team comes into play because they know that this is an attack. So what they do is that they don't bother clicking on it. They don't bother opening it. They don't bother clicking on it. They just, ignore it. They just go straight to delete. There are mails that I see immediately. I just go on and delete them. I don't read them. If I have to read them, there are certain other procedure I have to use in order to ensure that my system is not. I will talk about, I've explained all this and I'm just reading through it, exploitation. under the exploitation, the malicious code is delivered into the organization system. So the perimeter is breached here, and the attackers get the opportunity to exploit the organization system by installing tools. They install running scripts. They modify security certificates and thereabout. Okay. So most often an application or the operating systems vulnerabilities are targeted. Yeah, they are always targeted. Example of exploitation attacks can be scripting, it can be dynamic data exchange, and it can be local job scheduling. All right. So I think I've explained this while I was explaining other things. So we have the installation here. Under the installation, I said a backdoor or a remote access Trojan is installed by the malware that provide access to the intruder. So one of the things that the malware does is that the malware automatically installs this remote access. So the moment they create the payload, shoot it and delivers it, they gain access, the person clicks on it. Once you click on it, that is where this happens. Exploitation, they've exploited your system. And the moment they do that, there are some malwares that are integrated in the payload that are sent to you, the person. So what happens is the malware automatically triggers or installs the remote access Trojan, which gives the person what we call the backdoor. So with that, the person can always go into the system and out of the system without noise, without anybody noticing him. So this also is also another important stage where the attack can be stopped. All right, can be stopped using systems such as HIPS. Someone asked me a question, so we are talking about it now, and that is called host-based intrusion prevention system. We are going to come to that. We are going to break it down as we proceed. I just mentioned it here for a reason. Okay, so we now have the command and control. Under the command and control, the attacker gains control over the organization's systems and network. Now, attackers gain access to privileged accounts and attempts brute force attack. Okay, something we call brute force attack. There are even softwares that we call the brute force software. So, but we're going to come into that. But here, they gain access to privileged accounts and attack and attempt brute force attacks, search for credentials and changes permission to take over the control. They can change the admin. They can change everything. Have you not noticed? Sometimes it could be a group that is attacked in website. The moment the person gains access, one of the things they do is to change the admin right. Sometimes it might not be a group, it might be a particular number that is targeted via WhatsApp. And if the person does not have two-step verification, what they do immediately is that they immediately do that for you, and they gain access to the system to your WhatsApp that you can't do anything. It takes someone who understands the dynamics of cybersecurity and certain things again in order to retrieve that platform, either a group or retrieve that contact or number. And number 7 is actions on objective. Okay, we call it AOO. And that is, we said is a seven cyber chain or cyber kill chain. Or there are 7. Action on objective. The attacker finally extracts the data from the system. The objective involves gathering, encrypting, extracting confidential information from the organization's environment. So here, the summary is that the attackers objective is fulfilled. Here, the attacker fulfills his objective. Okay. If you are cool up to this point, just drop 888 on the chat box. All right, just drop 888. Okay, no, just drop 000 on the chat box. I don't know why I like 888. Just drop 000 on the chat box. 000 on the chat box. Now let's look at what we call the CIA triad. The CIA triad. Okay. There is no way we'll be talking about cybersecurity without mentioning about or just mentioning the CIA triad. Okay. CIA, C stands for confidentiality, I stands for integrity, and A stands for availability. All right. So when you are working for an organization and you care about security, then you must care about securing their data. All right. So what does it mean for a data to be secured? A data is secured if it has confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If data does not have these three things, their data is not secured. All right. So it has to be 3/3. If it's 2/3, it is not secured. If it's 1/3, it's not secured. It have to meet all of these attributes before we say that that data is secured. So what do we mean for a data to have confidentiality? Confidentiality simply means only authorized users or processes should be able to access or modify the data. So take note of the words, okay? Only authorized users. So only those that should, only those that are authorized, only those that should be able to view the data, should modify and also access the data. So anything beyond this or outside this, that data is no longer confidential. All right. So imagine if you misplace your SIM card and someone is getting your bank alert. Okay. In that case, that data is no longer confidential because that person that is looking at your alert is not supposed that is supposed is not supposed that is not the person that is supposed to be looking at your alert, right? So it's not the person that is supposed. So in that case, we say that that information or data is no longer confidential. Okay, I know why I use this one that is very simple so that you can relate to it. So I don't our mind will not be on something that is very complex. Just as simple as misplacing your SIM and someone picks your SIM and the person is now seeing your alert. It means that the data is no longer safe. Okay. Because the data was designed that is only you that will see it. Next is integrity. What do we mean for a data to have integrity? It simply means that the data is not altered. So whether accidentally or maliciously, whether by any means, the data is not altered. So it means if you're sending someone a data, let them receive what you've actually sent to them. There shouldn't be in any way where their data is altered. Let's say you are sending someone your account number. When the person receives the account number, he's getting something that is different from what he's supposed to get. So in such a case, we'll say that the data does not have or no longer have integrity. So finally, availability. The data have to be available to authorized users anytime, anywhere. All right. So here in Nigeria, they don't have network. The truth is that it shouldn't be so. My data, they have my data, which is my money. I should have access to it. Then there is unauthorized or sometimes the bank just, is not connecting. Like since yesterday, we tried to initiate some transactions since yesterday till now. A particular bank, I don't want to call their name. The app is just goofing around. When the app even opens, transaction is not going. All right. So this is example of a data not being available. So it's frustrating when a particular user wants to carry out a particular function or thing using the platform and it's not available. Okay. So in that case, we will say that that data is not secured. All right. So these are IT or what we call the cybersecurity terms. So we'll say that that data is not secured. Okay. So are you still here with me? Are you still here with me? If this is making sense and you're enjoying the class, is 1 o'clock already. Just drop 444 on the chat box. Just drop 444 on the chat box. Okay. I just drop 444 on the chat box. Okay. I'm going to stop here. Okay. For those of us that want to stretch their legs, just go stretch your legs. Um, you know, um, take water. We just have the terminologies, few of the terminologies. So, and then what we call the penetration testing. So at this point, I'm ending the class, okay? But for those who can still come back, because I want to exhaust, I'm going to finish this whole training and post it on the YouTube. You can still come back by in 10, 15 minutes time. All right, 10 minutes time, which should be around, this is 10, just assume that this is 12 already. By 10 minutes past 12, I'm coming back again to start on the CIA triad. My concern is to exhaust this whole thing. So I'm going to be up till I exhaust it. So if you think you want to go and sleep, fine, but the link will be open by 2:10, coming back to continue. Thank you.